You're listening to the Urban Sports Scene and Bowie TV Baltimore Ravens recap show. I'm Wole, and I'm joined by my co-host, Bowie TV's Ravens beat reporter, Carita Parks. What's going on, Carita?
Hey, you live to see another week.
I know that's right. What a great game, man. What a great game. So, like as she's talking about Saturday night, the Baltimore Ravens handled the Pittsburgh Steelers 28-14 in the AFC Wild Card game to advance to the AFC divisional round to take on the Buffalo Bills this weekend. Before we recap the Ravens Steelers game, let's knock out some of the logistics. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Make sure you subscribe to the Urban Sports Scene and Bowie TV YouTube channels. This recap show is being streamed on both channels. So hit that red subscribe button and also like the video on both channels. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on TikTok and IG at Urban Sports Scene, and like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. All right. Saturday night, the Ravens sunned the Steelers. They got on them to advance to the NFL playoffs. Let's watch Carita's recap on Saturday. Here we go. Boom.
This is Carita Parks with Bowie TV at M&T Bank Stadium, where the Baltimore Ravens pulled off a 28-14 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers to move on to the divisional round of the playoffs. This game started off seamlessly for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson was killing the Steelers with his legs. Rashad Bateman, with Zay Flowers out, he answered the call and he made the first score of the game with a 15-yard touchdown. From there, it was all Ravens. In the second half, they did have a little bit more trouble from the Steelers with the defense breaking down a little bit. However, the defense did hold the Steelers to no score in the first half. Nonetheless, the Ravens are moving on to the next round, and the offense, they really did a good job of spreading the ball around and getting everyone involved. Here's what Lamar Jackson had to say about that.
There was a lot of talk about Zay being out. How huge was it for everyone, all the weapons on offense to step up today? And even Steven Sims, Tylen Wallace got in there too.
I mean, some guys were just waiting the opportunity to get out there and show the world what they capable of. Some guys have been here a long time. Tylen has been for a while. Got in, made some splash plays for us. Kept the drive going. Critical second and long, like second and 20.
16,
that was crazy. Tylen caught the ball, got yacked. You know, that was great for him. Got Anthony Miller getting in, catching crucial first down, making things happen, getting us closer if it's third and whatever. You know, our guy just, and Steven Sims, you know, got in and had that long run. Guys just want to play and guys just want to win. And if you're over here, you better want to win. You know?
Like I said, the offense put on a show, especially on the ground. They finished with a playoff record of 300 yards rushing as an offense, and a lot of that was on the shoulders of Derrick Henry, as well as Lamar Jackson, and with Justice Hill back, he was in it too.
If you can't run the ball, man, especially here in the playoffs, it's going to be a tough go. So we were able to come out, establish that, and we'll continue to build on that.
Now that the Ravens are moving on to the divisional round, I asked Isaiah Likely, who also had a big game, what the mentality of the team is. He said they just have to focus on being 1-0.
What's the mentality going into the divisional round?
I say just be 1-0. I mean, that's the same aspect that we have every week. Never, obviously, try to make a game more than what it is, but understand that the main objective is to be 1-0, be where your feet are, and show your talent.
The Ravens now await their divisional opponent, with the Buffalo Bills playing the Broncos on Sunday. If the Bills win, then the Ravens will go on the road. But if the Broncos pull off the upset, the Ravens will have another home game, and they will face the Houston Texans. So be sure to stay tuned to Bowie TV Sports for all your Ravens playoff coverage, and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Bowie TV Sports.
Dope work as always, Carita. Dope work as always.
Thank you.
All right. So on our pregame show, You talked about this game needing to be a Derrick Henry game, and he showed that. Derrick Henry showed that. He had 186 rushing yards. He had a 44-yard rushing touchdown as well. First of all, how did you know that this had to be a King Henry game? Because he did it. And can you talk about his effectiveness on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have alluded to this on Saturday. You know, these are the games that the Ravens signed Derrick Henry for. Like, this is why he is here. They didn't have a running back of his caliber, because at the end of the day, Derrick Henry is top of the league. They did not have a running back of his caliber and of his talent last year. And, you know, with it being cold, a little breezy, I just felt like, you know, you obviously wanted to have a balanced attack, but I still felt like that's the kind of game where you want to run the ball down their throat as much as possible. And so, as far as his effectiveness, the reason I think he was so effective is because the Ravens stuck with Derrick Henry throughout the game. Like, yes, there were big plays made by other playmakers and throughout the game, but Todd Monken stuck with Derrick Henry, and he had that wear down effect. And, you know, defenses get tired of trying to tackle him. And then with Lamar Jackson being the quarterback, because that is one thing that Mike Tomlin said, is that, you know, Lamar Jackson's unique talent was a difference maker in that game. But I feel like when you put Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson together and the type of plays that Todd Monken was calling, the defense didn't know who they needed to defend, essentially.
Yeah, to your point, it was like definitely tough because I believe Lamar ran for like 81 rushing yards. And and I felt like they tried to set the tone with Lamar in terms of even doing that. Either that was on Lamar or Todd Monken, but at the end of the day, like Lamar was running the ball a lot more than we saw in the regular season initially, just to start the game.
He did. The first half, it was funny because at one point in the first half, I noted he had just as many rush yards as Derrick Henry. They literally had the same amount of rush yards at that point. And he didn't run as much in the second half.
Yeah.
In the first half, I mean, he was, like you said, he was running a lot more. They were doing a lot of fakes. And Lamar would have the ball. Like, there was some of them fakes that got me. I was like, oh, shit. I'm sitting up here looking at it's Lamar who got the ball. So they really had a very good game plan.
They really did. Obviously talking about the game plan, it seemed like the Ravens had the Steelers defense shook up. They just didn't know what to do, you know, what you're talking about in terms of the run game. Can you talk about how OC Todd Monken kept the Steelers off balance?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to what we were just saying. He set the tone with the run. It was either Lamar or Derrick Henry. And especially with Lamar, like I said, at first they had Lamar running so much and they were doing the fakes. And so the defense would go after Derrick Henry thinking he has the ball, leaving lanes wide open for Lamar Jackson to run through. And not to mention the offensive line played extremely well. And they were opening holes, blocking well. And then Todd Monken, I said he was cooking. Like the first drive, if I recall, was straight runs. But it was creative. It wasn't just Derrick Henry going up the gut. You know what I mean? They were really creative with it. And that first drive, they scored just based off the run. So, I mean, Todd Monken was in his bag on Saturday. And then not to mention, he was just getting everyone involved. Like you said, either between him and Lamar, but they were getting everyone involved. Like Bateman had a touchdown. Derrick Henry had his touch. I think Derrick Henry had more than one touchdown.
Yeah, he had more than one touchdown. He had a couple touchdowns.
Justice Hill had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Isaiah Likely didn't have a touchdown, but he had some big catches.
He had like 53 yards. I think Isaiah Likely had about 53 yards receiving. Like, he had a great game. Yeah,
so they spread the ball out, which was exactly what Coach Harbaugh was saying, because obviously there were some concerns with Zay Flowers being out. It's the playoffs. You never want to lose one of your main receivers going into the playoffs, but they do have several weapons. And for me personally, of course, Zay is a top receiver
Yeah.
in this league, and he's important to the Ravens game plan. But what I think him not being there did was it forced them to be more creative, get more people involved. They had Anthony Miller was out there.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in long since Chicago. I haven't seen him in such a long time.
Yeah, he's been active, but he hasn't played much. But he had 3 targets. Like I said, Tylan Wallace, he he's been in games here and there.
Yeah.
But he had 2 targets. It's just the way that Todd Monken uses people, like Anthony Miller, who hasn't played. It's like, okay, well, let's get him in there, and he picks up some big yardage because the defense is focused on other people. So for me, like I said, it was really a good example of that pick your poison mindset that they have been talking about all season.
You talk about Todd Monken, and we still talking about Todd Monken, but how do you feel like that first drive kind of set the tone though for the whole game though?
I mean, I think it showed that they were, first of all, 1, they were committing to the run, and 2, when you score on your first drive, I feel like you're sending a message to the other team, like we're here to win.
Yeah.
And also when you score on your first drive, that's great execution if you really think about it. Most teams are trying to stop you on the first drive. But I think what's also interesting to me is Kyle Mayanoy, he had a podcast, and I just saw a clip. So I guess the defense felt a little disrespected because the Pittsburgh took the ball first, and I guess that's not what they typically do.
Okay.
I guess they typically defer.
Got you.
And so Kyle Mayanoy, I really don't know if I understand why it was disrespectful per se, but I guess you got.
I get it. I guess
you got to have that mindset though when you're a competitor. But what I did think was interesting is he said for him that showed desperation. He said he felt that showed desperation on the Steelers because they got away from what they typically do, which is defer the ball. And so I guess like the defense fed off of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I do think to your point, I think they did set the tone because like everything you said, and also because you're a Steelers defense that's one of the better defenses in football, and you got punched in the mouth early. It's nothing like getting punched, like physically getting beat up on an initial score. Like you said, it sets the tone. Like we're here to win, and we're here to play bully ball in the same process. You know what I mean? Well, this ain't that old Lamar struggles against the Steelers type of thing. You take that away, you wipe that whole thing away when you score off the rip. So I'm with you. I think it sets the tone of we here.
But I also think the first drive, but what you just said about the Steelers kind of being a monkey on their back. I feel like that game and just the way that they dominated the Steelers kind of showed that it showed the growth in Lamar and it showed the growth in this team, because they had lost like 9 straight to the Steelers prior to winning that game a couple weeks ago. And then they come back and they do it again in the playoffs. So I think that's showing some growth, and it's showing that they are capable, because it's hard sometimes to beat a team that you already played again.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And they're going to have that same challenge when they go up to Buffalo. Yeah. So I also think that like it's a confidence booster, like we can do this. We could beat a team that has been historically an issue for us. Like we can do that.
No, I totally agree. All right, so with wide receiver Zay Flowers being out, who do you feel like in terms of pass catchers really stepped up and showed out on Saturday?
Pass catchers. It's like looking at. Yeah, it's exactly what I thought. Isaiah Likely. Yes. Because it was funny because when we were on the pregame show, you mentioned him too. It's like as a possibility. And it was definitely an Isaiah, I'm not saying it was an Isaiah Likely game, but I just mean of the pass catchers, he really stepped in. He didn't have a touchdown, but he was a huge factor. Yeah. In my opinion.
No, I agree. I think
I feel like I want to give credit to Rashad Bateman as well, because with Zay Flowers out, it was automatically like, okay, now you got to step up and be number one. And he didn't get as many targets after his touchdown, but even just that touchdown and the confidence he had and the confidence he showed in doing that, I think that he showed that he's capable with Zay Flowers out to still be a factor.
I believe he had the first touchdown, right? That was the first touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought it's hard. Like the way the Ravens played that game, it's hard for him to put up a 100-yard game because it's a Derrick Henry game. So you don't expect him to really get that many touches. You know what I mean? They were there to beat you up. That's how I look at it. The Ravens were there to beat you up, and they kind of did that. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think both of those dudes were kind of dudes I thought in my mind were like they really stepped up with Zay Flowers being out because they didn't. Truth be told, this wasn't the game that even I think if Zay played, he wouldn't have been as needed because of what you saw with Derrick Henry. Because and Lamar running, you had those two dudes close to 100 yards. You had Lamar and 81, and Derrick Henry close to 200 yards. That lets you know already, like they were approaching 300 yards combined.
Right.
That lets you know already, like they didn't need to throw the ball. Put it that way. If they didn't.
Right. I mean, Derrick Henry. I feel like when Derrick Henry is having a game like that, you just got to let him go.
Yeah.
Like you can't stop his momentum. He was feeling it, and I think part of that is kind of what he's been talking about all season. Like he came to Baltimore to have an opportunity to win a championship. He's talked about recently. He hasn't been back to the AFC Championship in like 5 years. Mm-hmm. So he's hungry.
Oh yeah, he showed it. He showed it, and he played more emotion than I've seen in a long time. So he was definitely,
especially these past few weeks. Like the birthday game, he did a little dance.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's feeling it, man.
And then and then this game after his touchdown, he was like motioning to the crowd and stuff. So yeah, he is.
Yeah, man.
He's feeling it.
B-More, y'all got him on some official crab cakes. Now he's on one.
He's a different kind of dude.
Yeah, I put him on that Old Bay sauce. That's what happened.
I love him and I do love him and Lamar together. It's pretty special. It's a pretty special formula.
No, I agree. I think it really is.
So, everybody felt like that when he came to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But after, it's really gotten better throughout the season and it's peaking at the best point.
It's easier. So it's easy to say, we can talk about Lamar and Derrick Henry, but other than those two, who are your unsung heroes? You know what I mean?
Unsung heroes. If I can remember correctly, sometimes I want to go back and watch the game and I just can't get to it. But Ardarius Washington on defense, he had the size has always been the reason why I think he talks about he feels like he went undrafted and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then he wasn't healthy. I think the first two years with the Ravens or the first year, I can't remember. Mm-hmm. But man, he has been a dog in my opinion. And he has some big tackles in that game. I was just double checking, but yeah, he led the defense in tackles on Saturday. So I think that he's one of those guys that kind of flies under the radar. But Ardarius Washington he be out there making plays. Yeah,
to your credit, Brad on X, Bradley Brandon said Chris Board, Ardarius Washington, and he said Daniel Falele.
Daniel Falele.
Excuse me.
I mean, but I feel like the whole offensive line played well.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Falele,
he's been. I don't know. I can't even say. I guess he's been hit or miss throughout the season. So, I could see why he would be considered an unsung hero.
Yeah. Well, Carita, man, before we let you go, how can folks catch you on social media and how can they catch your content?
Well, they can catch me on social media at Carita C. Parks on all platforms. You can also catch my Ravens content on Bowie TV Sports at Bowie TV Sports on all platforms. And also make sure you check out Double Take Sports. That is my sports media company. We cover the NBA, WNBA, and college sports. check it out so you can see.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
That's BL Take Sports.
Okay, cool. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. And also, wait. Are we doing a pregame joint? Are we?
The game is Sunday at 6:30, and yes, I'm going to Buffalo.
You going to Buffalo? Okay, so you down for it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, 5. Okay, let me do this read then. If that's the case, then make sure you pull up to our Ravens versus Bills AFC divisional round pregame show Sunday at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. It will be streaming on our YouTube, IG, X, and Facebook accounts. The pregame also will be streaming on the Bowie TV YouTube channel as well. So make sure right now subscribe to that channel and also subscribe to our Urban Sports Scene YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and other podcast platforms. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Also follow us on X at Urban Sports Scene, IG, and TikTok at Urban Sports Scene, and like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. And you can check out our website, which is www.urbansportscene.com. All right, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I always appreciate Carita for gracing us with her appearance. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene by Aegis Ayedig. Deuces. We out.
Peace.